Each year, millions of animals and their owners are affected by natural disasters. According to the World Bank statistics, over 175 million people in Africa are affected by droughts and 1.5 billion people affected by floods. Globally, the poorest people rely on animals for their food security as well as their livelihoods.
We normally say that disasters is failed development. We experience disasters in our region because our development infrastructure and the livestock infrastructure systems have not integrated disaster management.
We have had several animal emergencies. Recently, this year, 2015, we have had anthrax outbreak in around Lake Nakuru, affecting several wildlife, and it spread to livestock, the domestic livestock, and that called for concerted effort actually to fight. In 2006, 2007, we had an outbreak of Rift Valley fever, which killed several animals aborted, and therefore production is gone down, and also it kills some human beings.
In Africa, animals are also affected in the same way as humans by either being in the disasters like floods and drought, or being the disaster by carrying diseases like Rift Valley fever or rabies, which can result in devastating effects to human beings.
Animal disease breaks out in a country. That disease can have the same impact as a natural disaster like a flood or an earthquake, and can devastate livelihoods and leave that community and that population devastated the same way a natural disaster would. So animal disease emergencies are now classified globally as natural disasters. Besides animals themselves being the emergency, we can have a situation where animals find themselves in the disaster, very much the same way humans do. So when a flood happens, animals and people get affected. When an earthquake happens, animals and people get affected.
The major constraint, hindrance, is actually allocation of resources. The other challenge, the money could be there, but to access the money, our procurement system, public procurement system, is actually very bureaucratic and takes time.
Despite the fact that animals act as food, companions, and a source of livelihood, they are in most instances not included in the programs and policies of disaster management due to a number of reasons. Protecting animals must therefore be an integral part of effective response during disasters. Disaster management is a protocol which not only responds to disasters but also enables government and the people affected to prepare for them. Managing disasters comprises of various strategies in prevention, preparedness, response and recovery.
To guarantee food safety and security, we need the animals to be handled in a humane way. So there are many animal welfare issues. In Kenya, the market is the senders. Like for example, Nairobi city is actually a market for livestock coming from far away, like Bomet, you get chicken, or Ukambani, you get chicken. They are handled in a humane way, and on the way, some of them are actually dying. You see, if there is high production, then the people can be able to feed, food security, and they're able to sell excess and get the money. But this animal resource industry is afflicted by natural disasters.
Therefore, to prevent loss of livelihood, animal owners require protection against loss of animals, which are their source of livelihood and food. It is vital that the government and other stakeholders look into the main causes of disaster to create policies and programs in areas where disasters are common.
Looking at the whole aspect of livestock risk insurance and safety nets that actually are robust and are effective in our environment and in our region, that can help farmers recover after an emergency or a disaster has happened, and even possibly mitigate a worst case scenario so that they come out at least not devastated from whatever disaster that will occur. Because we know hazards, we cannot stop hazards, but we can reduce the impact of those hazards so that the people and the communities that are affected by the hazards recover faster and resume their normal lives and are not driven back.
The University of Nairobi, in collaboration with the World Animal Protection, have come up with a program that ensures proper training is done to the veterinaries as well as the local farmers to enable them handle disaster. Professor Henry Mutembei, a staff at the University of Nairobi, who is also a lecturer at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, takes us through the process.
There were some experiences we had in the past where when disasters were occurring in the country, and I'll quote like the post-election violence, animals were left wandering. And then the humanitarian harm was very active that time. Then the people who came to assist, they came into the faculty. At that time, the faculty was not really organized to handle those kind of disasters. Somehow, some of us were told to just go and assist. When we went to assist, we could not really fit into the disaster management. A staff from the World Animal Protection came over, then we sat together. Then we started seeing what has happened in other countries, and we borrowed heavily from the South Americans, the Costa Rica. Then now the interest began. How can we develop a center of excellence on the management of disasters involving animals? And the objective was here to ensure we have graduate students who graduate equipped with some skills on management of disasters, and then later be involved in the mitigation of the same disasters using globally agreed protocols. So we started with a workshop, then we'll hand a roadmap that we start within the clinical studies, then it grows bigger to a faculty, then finally it should be involved in a national disaster management.
Following the announcement by the Meteorological Department that there will be El Nino rains, the Ministry of Agriculture, under the Directorate of Veterinary Services and the County of Baringo, together with its partners World Animal Protection and the University of Nairobi Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, undertook a veterinary campaign in Baringo to vaccinate the animals against the Rift Valley fever.
We as World Animal Protection were asked by the Directorate of Veterinary Services, together with our partner University of Nairobi, to handle Baringo because we had a ready team in the veterinary emergency response team that was ready to go. It was in fact the only team that was ready to hit the ground and have boots on the ground and had the capacity to undertake what was going to be a coverage of over 300,000 animals. This required a lot of coordination. We were coordinating at the national level, we were coordinating through the Rift Valley Task Force. And through these collaborations, we learned a lot of lessons of how to streamline and ensure that they're efficient and effective. And all the partners did contribute a lot in terms of expertise, human resource, monies, and also free vaccines.
So this initiative of vaccinating animals in the hotspots where the possibility of infections of Rift Valley fever are there is indeed very noble. The fact that you have assisted us with close to 180,000 doses for vaccinating animals, and we have also purchased another portion that makes it over 300,000 animals that will be vaccinated, is going to ensure that this time around, in spite of the El Nino, which is going to activate the vectors that cause this disease, is going to be mitigated against, then the health of our animals will be assured.
Yeah, today's training is going to prepare people on what we are going to be doing the next 3 days, so that we come together, the people from the University of Nairobi and people from the county of Baringo, so that we are all together, we know how to approach this exercise from a common stand, following the laid down standard procedures of operations in all the things that we are going to do.
I was in the incident command management system, so my days were starting at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I was waking up, going to the cold chain. A cold chain is a system that stores the vaccines. The vaccines must be stored in -4 degrees for the Rift Valley fever vaccine, and selecting those vaccines out for each of the groups and putting them in the cold box. And then driving out 1 hour to where the teams were, because the cold chain had to be in a place that had good electricity, while the teams were staying in the remote institution. Teams were ready to leave, had breakfast, woke up at 6, and we were on the road by 7.
This operation is going to follow the incident command system. The incident command system is a global package that usually ensures there is coordination, there is accountability, and things are done in a way that somebody can easily follow them well and see the impact. And that impact is supposed to actually improve the livelihood of the pastoral communities.
Nasema kwa jina yake anaitwa Nonywa Merge.
Merge. Na kota hapa tunachan.
Sasa mvua ikikuja. Hapa awali hatukuwa tunakunywa maziwa.
Amgetin kaya tornon na yambarere.
Kuna ugonjwa mbaya sana ambaye hii inaitwa Rift Valley fever.
Na geril tungane naruguma.
Na mtu anatapika na kuendesha.
The turn-up was quite good. We achieved more than half what we expected from that place. I think we cleared all the cattle.
So we actually very grateful, the county government, very, very grateful indeed for what they have done, because this is actually a very terrible disease.
The World Animal Protection Team, together with the Ministry of Agriculture under the Disease Surveillance Unit, monitored if there was a reoccurrence of the Rift Valley disease after the rains to know whether the exercise was successful.
So they take regular blood samples and they go to the field and do questionnaires with the livestock owners, with farming families, to find out if there have been any abortions, if there have been any cases of bleeding in animals, and they report this and they immediately do investigation. And for us, investigation is lab work to confirm.
The World Animal Protection aims to ensure that there is a change in the protection of animals in disaster by encouraging countries to adopt a system of managing disaster. The organization has regional hubs in Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and North America.
World Animal Protection works with national authorities and governments to mainstream animal emergencies into national institutions and policies so that the respective governments take the responsibility for animal emergencies. So we do this through a four-pronged approach, which varies depending on the region we're working with and depending on also how advanced that particular region, because we are not all the same. You'll find that in the West, in the Americas, they are quite advanced in disaster management, while in Africa, disaster management across all sectors is something that is pretty new.
Learning with the activities of some organizations like World Animal Protection, we have seen that coordination is key. We have seen that we need actually a standby team and resources, continuing capacity development on how to address disasters in animals. We have put in place a command structure. We have put in place laboratories. We actually have the Central Veterinary Laboratory in Kabete here. We have Food and Mouth Disease Laboratory somewhere in Embakasi in Kabete. And we have got other 7 laboratories in the regions called Regional Veterinary Investigation Laboratories. We have put in place Veterinary Epidemiology and Economics Unit, which is able to do disease surveillance, both active and passive. And we have put emergency money, which is called Veterinary Services Development Fund. That money, the DVS has got access. When there is emergency, I am quickly able to write a check. Unlike the one where we have to go to the headquarters and get somebody else to approve.
Going forward, we know that African countries are at different levels of integrating animal emergencies and animal disasters into their national systems. So going forward, we'll be encouraging African countries to look at their policies, to look at the institutions which are responsible for animal resources, that they are taking care of this aspect of disaster management. We'll be encouraging them to look at their training, their veterinary training, their training of their animal health cadre, that they have been trained in the area of disaster management, and we'll be encouraging them also to pass these messages to their farmers, who are the first responders.
Ay,